Hello everyone, how is it going? It is good to be back. I had to set up almost everything again. I don't know if you hear me all right. Seems like you are. I'm not feeling super great today, but should be able to do a stream. No problem. Um, yeah, I always say they're gonna be like a shorter stream. This is what I suspect I will say, but it will be probably around an hour. Um, but yeah, it's good to be back. Last week I wasn't here online. I was at the Penpod Fest, which was really cool. I only went there for 2 days. That was Wednesday and Thursday. So couldn't do the stream, but I was able to meet a lot of cool people there, a lot of open source projects and pretty cool things. So yeah, but happy to be back. And today we have some news, not super again, not super long, hopefully, but start queuing up questions if you want to, so we can go through all of them during the stream. If you are new here, I'm Emilio. I'm the executive director of the Godot Foundation, and this is Godot Tomorrow. So let's jump in. Okay. So first thing I wanted to do is shout out to a new sponsor that we have. We have Sentry as a new corporate silver, and Sentry, they do a lot of stuff for testing your games, especially where things go wrong, and giving you very good reports. And it's great that they are sponsoring. So I wanted to thank you on the stream. It's something that I want to start doing more often, to highlight also the new sponsors, so you also get an idea of who is new. So it's very short. But I always would like to thank you, all of you who are donating, which you're making Godot possible. So thank you very much. Yeah, just very short and sweet for that one. Now let's get a peek into something that should come out today, but it's not out. So this is a secret only for the stream, which is the Godot 4.5.1. Recently we released Godot 4.5, and as always, there's a lot of fixes that they should make it into the release, especially after a lot of people test it. They find some things that we didn't catch in the previous releases, plus new things that we need to update. So as soon as we do like a 4 point something release, you will see that very shortly after we do a 0.1 release, and later on a 0.2 if it's needed, 0.3 or whatever. In this case, this will go out today, or at least it's scheduled unless something happens. And I wanted to also highlight this game, which we're gonna cover a little bit later. But if we jump into the changes, which are some of the highlights, not all of them, you will see that everything are fixes. 2D fix, 3D grid max fix, animation fix, like everything that should come into these releases are fixes. So if you are already running 4.5, I encourage you to just go and download it and continue using it, because this will very likely save you from a headache, and it's always good to have the latest fixes out there. It was just posted. Yeah, well, yeah, it was scheduled for now. I didn't know if it was gonna be during the stream or not, but yeah, it's great. And the game that has been highlighted here, it's quite interesting. Is Starfinder. I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick. Starfinder Afterlight, which is this game by Epic Tellers. You might know Epic Tellers because they did a talk on the GodotCon about doing CRPGs, and they are coming with this game that looks super cool. I'm gonna jump into the gameplay of it. They have like very high quality and popular like voice actors, art, and everything. It honestly looks super cool. And yeah, I guess I haven't played it, but from what I see here, it's like a Baldur's Gate but futuristic. So you get the roll die and the die and all that. They did a Kickstarter, which is going, I think it's going quite well. It was funded in 18 minutes, and they're almost at €500,000, which, it's great. The team has a lot of experience, and they're based in Barcelona, so every time we are around, it's great to meet with them. So if you're interested in the project, check it out. I will leave a link to it, but you can find it also in the blog post. This is the talk that they gave during the GodotCon in Berlin, and they go over some of the process, like of how they worked, which technologies they use, and what roadblocks they found. But this is one of those teams that it's really talented. They know what they're doing, and every time we ask them, "Hey, what can we improve about Godot?" They don't really tell us much because they mostly figure out how to work with it. But it's great to have such cool people making a big project in Godot. So I encourage you to check this talk, which is very interesting, and yeah, it goes about a lot of the intricacies of making these sorts of scenes. And even if it's for a kind of like a medieval themed game in this talk, the new game is futuristic. I think a lot of the techniques would apply either way. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, check it out. The Kickstarter has a lot of information, and I was a bit sad that there's many rewards that have been all claimed. So I wanted to get like a character with my name that's not available, but still, it's good to support Godot projects. And yeah, now the reason why you probably are all here if you clicked on the video, which is the Godot Plushie. Finally, the Godot Plushie got a second release. It's called V2, but it's exactly the same as the first one. The only difference is this tag that it has on the butt, which initially they sent me a version with it off aside. I guess they were thinking maybe not putting it in the center is something interesting, but I say I think it should be in the center. So if you want to have an anatomically correct Godot plush, you now can. It's exactly the same as the previous one, so it should be the same as this one. Yeah, it doesn't have anything else, like just the difference is at the bottom, and yeah, it's super cool. And we're working on having also another plush in the future. I know a lot of you missed the first one, and yeah, I wish we could have like a permanent store, but that doesn't seem to be how Makeshift, which is the company who's making it, works. So we're trying to convince them to make it happen. So yeah, this is a way of supporting the Godot Foundation, but of course, if you make a donation directly to us, that's the best way of supporting the project. We only get a small percentage from this sort of sales, but it's always good. Okay, so another thing I wanted to highlight, which is the Showreel Voting. Like we already started with the voting. The votes end in 5 days. So if you want to participate, you can set up your Godot account to make a recurrent donation in the Dev Fund. And if you're a fund member, you should be able to vote. And I'm gonna vote for a couple of videos now here, just to show you how it looks like. This is how everybody in the Godot team and everybody who's donating is able to participate in next year's, like this year's showreel. That yeah, basically we get the video and we get to decide like if we want to approve it, like yes, this looks good, or no, this doesn't look good, and in the context of a showreel. In this case, let's be very, very good on this stream and let's say yes on all the projects, because there's already a lot of votes, so my votes are not gonna impact too much. So let's go with yes, and we get different games. Um, Out of these, the most voted ones are gonna be selected, and together with some projects that we might choose from the Godot Foundation, and we're gonna get a video like the ones that you always see on the screen here. That's how we make every year the video, and it's quite good to have more community members now participating in this. I would love to get everyone involved, but then like you don't know who's gonna be running some uh, weird voting schemes with free accounts and all that. So that's why like the donation, it's just a level of protection on the integrity, but also a cool way to keep the people who are supporting the project involved. Yeah, there's a lot of good entries. I have seen almost all of them while testing it out and doing things like that. But yeah, we'll see whenever that comes. Hopefully before the end of the year, we're gonna have the video. We usually release them very late in the year, but it was a bit confusing that each year we got like the 2025 at the end of 2025. So in January it felt a bit outdated. But yeah. Basileos Potos ask, is this only for monthly donators? Yes, this is only for people who are subscribing to it monthly. We want to set up a system in which if you donated at least the amount of the smaller tier in one-time donations, you can also participate, and those would be like the one-time year donations, something like that. But it's a bit more tricky to recognize because one-time donations are not necessarily linked to your Godot account. So we want to see how to do it. For now, the easiest was this, and we cannot spend a lot of time working on this because there's many other projects that we have to be working on, like the asset store or the job board or the release pages and all that. But it's nice to see some progress. Hopefully next year we'll have a little bit more time to improve it and make it better for everybody. Okay, so I'm not gonna be voting here for many more entries, but it's always nice to see them. One thing we always want to do is maybe ask people to include some audio, but that's really challenging because not everybody can take the time to edit the video to only show the audio, and that's why we encourage people to do it, but not really require it. Hello, Danny. Good morning. Job board is in progress. Yes, it has been in progress for a long time, but we've been delaying it. And we know the community wants something like that, and I already mentioned it, I believe, in a couple of talks or at least online in several places. But it has some challenges in terms of we don't want to charge too much money to post there, and also we're gonna try to do the same as we do with the showreel, which is that if you are already monthly donator, you can post at least some amount of job posts there. And to do that, we need to update the system, how we recognize those people in the Godot accounts and all that things, which we did with the showreel. So now it's gonna be easier. But as always, it's hard to prioritize with all the different projects. Our main goal always and our priority is working on the engine. But this is super trippy. I'm saying yes to everyone, to all of them, but yeah. But yeah. So if you want to participate, feel free to join the Dev Fund. And once you join, you can log into the Showreel page and you should be able to vote. Yeah, in the future, we also want to make a better panel for when you're donating to give you more information about these sort of initiatives, like voting on the priority list and other things like that. But, we're slowly but surely getting there. I couldn't vote, but I'm not sure if I have a separate account for donations or what. So if you cannot vote, you can reach out with your details on our email, or just send me a message on Discord or whatever. Maybe you have a legacy donation, which is like the PayPal ones, and you need to link it with the Godot account. Once we recognize that Godot account, then you can vote. But you should be able to if you are there. So get in touch. There's still a lot of people in the legacy system, and we don't want to nag everyone to update because not everybody might be interested. But yeah, if you don't know where to find me, like, you should see me in all of the platforms with the same icon, Emmy, and yeah, please reach out. I guess it's always a balance of working on the engine and working on adjacent stuff that helps other people to work on the engine. Yeah. The people who are working in web, we have one person, for instance, who's doing 100% of the time on web-related projects. The thing is, like, the store is still a priority. So the asset store is still a priority because that also will get included into the engine. So, well, this one looks really, really cool. I really love the art. Not sure about the pixel stuff. I think the game could look super nice without the pixelated style, but still. All right, I will not continue voting. But yeah, sorry for my stuffy nose and all that. Okay. Another thing that happened recently was the Material Maker interview that we published in our blog. This was an interview by Hugo Kalinu. You might know him. And it was a great interview. Like, I knew about Material Maker, which is this program to make procedural textures and materials, and it's a great software that I will probably never know how to use, but I will enjoy every time I see people using it. And it's built all in Godot, so basically you can use Godot to make games, but also make software like this, and from here you can export the materials to any engine, not only to Godot. Yeah, it was great to know a little bit more about Rodzilla, like the developer behind the Material Maker software, because I had honestly never had the pleasure to meet him. And yeah, it's super interesting. I really encourage you to read it. And the interview also goes into games that are using it. From this, I really recommend checking out Crown Gambit. Crown Gambit should be linked. Yes, it's a beautiful looking game. It's already out, so if you want to try it out, and the effects are super good. And they used yeah, let me see, where's the gameplay? I want to see the gameplay. Okay, here. Will the asset store integration be ready by 4.6, or will we have to wait more for that? To make it to 4.6, we need to get it there quick. I don't think so. Like, it was the plan, but I don't think we're there yet. I think that for 4.7 we should be able to get it. And as I said on previous streams, the goal at the moment is just to replace the asset library that we have with the new one. And once that's replaced, then we're gonna go deeper into the buying and selling assets. So yeah, for 5.7, hopefully it will be done. Yeah, I wish it was there already, but yeah. And yeah, that's all I have for this in terms of links. If you have any questions, you can now write on the chat, or you can visit the forum where I post this every 2 weeks or every week, and leave a question for this or for next streams. Will C# GD extension be in 4.6 Dev 2? Well, that was one of the goals. The goals was to get it now for Dev 2, but I'm not entirely sure. There's still some things that are not particularly nice, and the first impression is going to be very important for people. So there might be some changes to come. But I know that the C Sharp developer is going really hard at it. Raul is working a lot on it, and yeah, it should be, but yeah, depends. As soon as C Sharp is a GD extension, are you officially supporting it, or will it be handled over by the community? We will officially support it. Um, the goal with the C Sharp as a GD extension would be to replace the current implementation we have, which will make it better for everybody who wants to use a custom language. So not only C Sharp users. So if you're using Rust or any other binding, you can use the GD extension uh, API to do so. So it should feel more native also in others, but that's being developed internally. The problem here is that, and this of course can change when it will get released. Like, to use it as a GD extension, it requires some changes in the workflow, and we're still not sure how the community will react in terms of, probably if you have a very advanced project already, you will not want to move to the new system. But if you're starting a new one, you will. So we run into this weird situation where we really don't want to have two ways of doing C Sharp, and then, getting everyone confused, getting the tutorials outdated. So without compromising too much in the new implementation, we want to make the transition to be as seamless as possible. And that's why it's important to get it right and, to get feedback. The first version we're gonna merge is gonna be more like an experimental version of it, so people can tell us we love it or we hate it, please don't do this. And depending on that feedback, we can adjust in future versions. But for 4.6, it might not make it like as a stable thing, especially since, again, many things might change and we might want to to make some adjustments. Um, can you elaborate on people's concern about the user safety when using resources as save files? I feel like most people panic for no reason. Well, yeah, that's, the people panicking for no reason. It's a legitimate concern, but it's usually what happens when you're reading online discussions about hypotheticals. The vulnerability here is that you can actually include some GD script in the resources. So if let's say you have a game that loads a resource, and that resource, it's a save file. So that means that the user, whenever they want to continue, they will load that resource and execute it. You can do in GDScript some things there that might, expose whatever you have in your game or run whatever malicious code. So if you downloaded that save file from somewhere else, if somebody tampered with that save file and then you execute it, then you're running the code as if the developer would have done it. There's ways to prevent, this. There's ways to sanitize it. There's ways to manage it. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any real attack like this. But it's a concern that people have. So you can also use other type of formats that don't allow GDScript to run for saves. But generally speaking, if you're making a game that's not that big and you're not encouraging people to downloading stuff from the internet and running it, you should be fine. Which usually with all these sort of potential attack vectors, they always include the part where you are downloading something from someone you don't trust and executing it in your computer. So this can be, anything from a game that you download from itch.io. It doesn't matter if it's done GameMaker, Unity, Unreal, Godot, or just a custom application. If you're running something from somebody you don't trust, then things can get bad. That's why some people prefer to distribute their games through platforms like Steam, because it adds that extra layer of security that Steam developers have checked your game to not be malicious, or it could be the App Store or the Play Store, the Google Play Store, or whatever other stores. But in those cases, recently there was a game, right, in Steam that was stealing cryptocurrencies from people's computers without them knowing. So it's not a foolproof system. As long as you're running code from somebody else, you can get compromised. So I'm not saying that there isn't anything we can do about it. Of course, there's things we should do and we might do in the future, but that's more or less the situation with all the other kind of like fear mongering posts about this or any other kind of engine. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. Can you elaborate that one? Yeah. How will the workflow be? So, as far as I'm aware, the workflow difference in the new C# as an extension would be that you create classes that you extend as nodes. So instead of attaching scripts to nodes, you're gonna create a node and then use that node directly. That's the main thing. There's proposals or people already thought about ways of doing it in a way that it feels like you're attaching a script to something. The easiest I can think of is making a child node of that node that adds the behavior to the parent. That would be like a way of making it feel like you're adding scripts to it. But yeah, I think once that version is already published and everybody can try it out, we'll see if people like it or not. Yeah. I am facing game crashes with Godot compatible rendering 4.5 and less performance compared to last version. I know Godot mobile support is not good, but performance is rapidly reducing as version increase after Godot 4. Okay. So for the compatibility rendering, it should be more compatible, or it should be more performant depending on the device. But it also, many times when we get reports about this, it's how, and sounds like we are deflecting, but it depends a lot on how people implemented the game. There was recently a video where there was a developer saying like, oh, look, this game in Godot 3 runs at many FPSs and in Godot 4 it runs really poorly, and I'm opening the performance kind of like what it's called, the debugger, and I'm not sure what might be, and there's clearly a lot of overhead in the physics department that for such a simple game things should look better. And as I mentioned on previous streams, the same happens with some games where people say like performance is really low and then they have like a 3D model that has a million polygons, and they were not optimized for games. So yeah, I'm not saying that the performance is not good, but it shouldn't be as bad as people are complaining in social media. And every time we ask for a reproducible project where we can see how that works and open it in different versions, we really don't see such a big difference. There are more crashes in Godot 4 than Godot 3 in terms of reports that we get from games that are on the Play Store, especially for Android. But we are addressing those, and a lot of those were addressed in 4.5 and will be addressed in 4.6. So for now, I would say now that 4.5.1 has been released, you should try it with that one. But also you should check into what your game is doing that might be slowing things down. If you think it's not your game in particular and you can create one scene that we can reproduce, it will be very easy for us to then compare and see, okay, this is where Godot is going slower, let's optimize this. But until we don't have that, it's really hard for us to guess what might be. I hope that answers the question. Did you enjoy the Penpot Fest? Yes, I did. There was a great exhibition. I don't know if there's photos yet, but there was a projector that had like a wall that was all a Godot game that you could interact with a Kinect. So it was a camera for mice. So 4 players clicking things and 1 player moving around. It was quite interesting, and the setup was quite good. So yeah, and there was also, of course, the Penpod Fest itself. A lot of designers, a lot of people who are into open source, and there were a lot of nice conversations. But yeah, sorry, I think I will leave the stream soon. I'm not feeling super well. You might have noticed already, but I wanted to do a stream and announce that you can get the plushie. Reminder that you can get the plushie again, and hopefully we'll get a new one soon, a different design, which you might guess which one could be. But yeah, if nothing goes wrong, I don't have any conference next week. I should be able to make it, hopefully with more news. If there's anything else that you would like to know, please ask on the forum or leave a comment here, and I would be happy to answer. Yeah, it was great seeing you all, and see you tomorrow. Bye.